I'm Norm Tiedemann. I am the High Tech Kids employee that is most responsible for the FTC program, both the program itself and volunteers. Tonight, we're going FTC judge volunteer training, not referee, but just judge tonight. And to help with that on the line, we also have Craig Huber, who's a judge advisor and a coach and a judge and a lot of other things. And he's going to take over when we get to kind of the judging things. I've got some stuff at the beginning to kind of go through just about general volunteering. Hopefully won't be a lot of news for many of you, but I know a number of you on here. There are a couple of new people, or at least new names, and a couple people that haven't judged in a year or two, and we're back to in-person. The other two people on here, Chad and Jim, were people that helped with the in-person trainings last week. So all three of these have helped a lot with our volunteer training. Okay. Why do we volunteer? Well, you volunteer to serve a role, and it obviously helps this program, FTC, and the robotics program. We couldn't do it without you. But we really think that volunteers receive as much as they give. You get to see kids, who are really excited about this stuff. And they've got imagination and enthusiasm and all that stuff. It really is an amazing thing you get to experience at tournaments. When people ask me how the day has gone, my basic answer is that at the end of the day, I feel both invigorated and exhausted. You're excited and truly energized from all the kids there. And then you kind of get home after driving in the car and you go, oh, and pretty much fall asleep. But it's a good day. I think everyone will agree it's a good day. It's a long day. But it's really an interesting day. You get to see a lot of good stuff going on. So what are we going to talk about tonight? A little bit about the volunteer process, what resources are available, tournament schedule for people who have been here many years ago. It's similar to what it was in the past. For people who just started judging last year, it's completely different. What season changes there are, and there are some restrictions at our tournaments that we'll go through, and then we've got some judge-specific information that Craig will lead us in toward the end of that. Okay, on the High Tech Kids website, you go to Get Involved, Volunteering with Us, and there's two things here. Sign up to volunteer, which will give you some information on it and allow you to submit a volunteer interest form, which is on our website. It's how we schedule volunteers. So this is the way. Here you pick what you'd like to do, what days you're available, and there's a notes field where please put in as much information as you'd like us to know, like only on Saturdays or every single day possible or not more than once a month. Anything like that, or my first choice is judging, my second choice is whatever. Please put in there what you'd like to do. I will read those and follow those wishes. And then, amazingly enough, over the summer, we were at the conference with FIRST virtually, and we were talking about consent forms. And FIRST basically informed us that the consent form you sign with them when you go through their dashboard, and coaches sign with them when they go through their dashboard, actually doesn't cover High Tech Kids or our employees or any of our stuff, which was quite a shock to all the partners, because all the partners kind of assumed that did, since we are working as a part of FIRST and are kind of subcontracted to FIRST, something like that. So we have a volunteer consent form that you need to fill out with us again, basically just informing you the same thing for FIRST, but including us in that. So please fill that out. It's a quick link and you do it electronically. You please read it and go through and sign it electronically, date it and you're done. But please do that with us. There are other things on this page. Volunteer resources, and again, sign up to volunteer. This is actually an old view, but volunteer resources. And when you click on that, you'll get a list of resources, list of things here. There's a volunteer information webinar, which is kind of this beginning part that I'm giving. And there's information on how to register with FIRST. So there are little video clips and some information about how to step through the process with FIRST. because it can be a little tricky. When you go to firstinspires.org, you will have to create a dashboard account if you haven't already done one. And from there, you'll indicate that you're not a coach, but you want to volunteer. And you'll go through a screening process with them. You'll do youth protection, which is you have to watch a video. And if you're new or haven't done it, I believe in 4 years, you will have to do a background check. And FIRST does that. As you fill out the form for the background check, it asks you for your social security number and also asks you to pay. And you don't have to do either of those. You don't need to put in your social security number because that actually doesn't help the background process at all. They shouldn't be asking that. And FIRST covers the cost of it, so you don't have to do that. Other resources, if you follow down on resources, on the resources page, there's a pull down kind of for FIRST Tech Challenge resources. And in there, there'll be the judge training webinar, which is what we're recording tonight. I'll clean it up a little bit and have it there. The presentation that I'm giving right now will be on there. The presentation for the referees and everything will all be right on this site. Also has links to the game manuals, and we'll eventually have some other information as we go through. So, back to the first sign up. So that's the High Tech Kids website. You sign up, you do the consent, you tell us when you're available. And on the first website, when you select volunteer, it'll ask you how you want to volunteer, and you need to select Minnesota or search in Minnesota for volunteer registration. There is a single event called volunteer registration. You don't sign up for all the different tournaments we have on the FIRST website. There's just a volunteer registration, which I think has a date sometime next February. But just click on that, that's the event you want. You can select as sign as needed, and we'll put you everywhere. If you select the roles you want to do, so you want to be a referee, you want to be an FTA, you want to be various things, do that on the FIRST site. Complete the background check, go through their consent and release form, and then you will get actually information on their training. FIRST has some training also. If you read the FIRST website and read through all the information, referees and judges and head referees and scorekeepers and FTAs and a number of those roles are called certified roles, which means you're supposed to go through a training session with FIRST and actually do a little quiz. It has been my general experience that you could take the quiz right now, barely even knowing what the role is. But do that. I will let you know that I don't check that before signing you to tournaments. If you've come to this, I assume you're qualified to be a judge. And new people, we will obviously put you with experienced people so you're not stuck out there on your own. And that's kind of our process. I don't look at that certification necessarily. But if you want to go through it and do the trainings and that'd be good. Give you a little more information on it. And at some point, you never know, they may require that. I don't know. And as I said, in our volunteer resources, we have those step-by-step videos. Also on the FIRST dashboard, there's some general volunteer resources when you go to the volunteering, and that will give you some information about volunteering, some manuals and information on the different roles and that kind of stuff too. So you can look through there. There is way too much information, I would say, available out there. So pick and choose what you go through and look at. Okay, tournament information. And before I do that, please, if you have a question, you can put it in the chat, or you can also unmute yourself and ask it in person. This is just a regular Zoom meeting, so all of you have the power to unmute yourselves and speak. So either way works just fine. And we'll have time at the end of this and the end of Craig's session also, obviously, for questions. Tournament information. What's a tournament going to look like? Or how do you get to a tournament? So once you submit your availability on the High Tech Kids website, I will then schedule you into the events. Where you sign up is really our data bank, our database system. And I will schedule you into events based on your availability, the people I need, and that kind of stuff. And you will receive an email from me. The December tournaments, well, the October tournaments will be, sorry, the November tournaments, October tournaments. The November tournaments will probably come out next week or the end of next week. Again, December tournaments will be scheduled by mid-November. January tournaments will be scheduled by mid-December. We try and do them like a month ahead of time. You'll get an email from me with the assignments for those tournaments. I need you to confirm that email. So just a quick reply to the email of yes, I will be there. And look through, because you might be in multiple tournaments depending on your wishes and my needs. You might be in multiple tournaments in that email. So make sure you look through for all of them and confirm that you will be at all of them. If you can't be at one because something has come up or changed or I got something wrong, please let me know as soon as possible. We don't overschedule people. I need, for 2 fields, I need 8 judges and a head judge. I schedule 8 judges and a head judge. I don't do more than that. Or referees. I don't do more than that, just because I don't try and overuse people, and I don't want people to come to the event and then not have something to do or feel like they're not doing something worthwhile. I want to make the experience good for you. I consider you guys my customers, and you're the guys I try and please with this and make happy, so you enjoy it and also so you come back. So that email, you need to confirm that. I will get frantic and start to lose sleep when we get a few days before the tournament and I haven't heard from everyone. I will then send another email with the event details on Wednesday or Thursday, just a couple days before the event. What door do you go in? Where's the judge's room? I'll have definitely your judging assignments at that time. So what group of teams you'll be judging, you will know that ahead of time. That will come out Wednesday or Thursday. And then what I started last year was on the evening before the event. So for Saturday volunteers, a text on Friday, and for Sunday volunteers, a text on Saturday. Just a quick text of, hey, looking forward to seeing you there tomorrow. Let me know, text me, write me if something has come up. So pretty simple. We try and get you all the information without really overloading you. What does our schedule look like for this season? Well, our tournaments start November 20th. There was actually a tournament scheduled for the week before that, November 13th at Egan High School, but we didn't have enough teams signed up. We only had 6 teams that registered for that tournament. So we have now moved them around to other tournaments as they got then a chance to choose which one they could move to. And they moved to other tournaments. So all these tournaments are full. They all have 24, or in some cases, a few more than 24 teams in them. We're back to, 10 tournaments. 2 years ago, we had 11 tournaments. So we're almost back up to size. We're at about a little more than 3/4 of, more like 4/5 of where we were 2 years ago. So 2 years ago, we had about 210 teams. Last year, we dropped down to 105, and now we're back up into the almost 170 teams for this year. So getting a good bounce back for FTC teams, and we're going to move forward like that. These are the qualifiers. So at each of these tournaments, some number of teams will advance to the state tournament. And as judges, who advances out of the judging side of the house will be up to you. That's what you decide, is which teams advance out of these tournaments to the state tournament. There are also teams that advance from the robot competition, that the scores from the robot matches and the alliance selection and all that do, which I'll go through a little bit at the end, but pretty much that's for the referees and the field personnel. Then, of course, we have our state tournament, February 11th and 12th. It will again be an in-person event. We're planning on that. In order to have experienced judges and referees at our state tournament, we really only take people who have worked qualifiers that year. So we like to have volunteers volunteered at least 1 or 2 tournaments during the season before they can be assigned to the state tournament. State tournament is a 2-day event for both judging and field personnel. So there's a judging session Friday night where we need a lot of judges. Lots and lots of judges for that. And then we'll have finalist judging Saturday. We need less judges for that on Saturday, but those are judges that are not associated with an FTC team because they're the ones that do the finalist decision and the award decision. And so we don't want anyone associated with a team at state tournament. Obviously, if you have a team that didn't make it to state, please volunteer. But we need a fair number of judges that make those decisions on Saturday also. Okay, so what do our tournaments look like? Our day, for all you people who started last year at that yawning, 8 o'clock or 8:30 hour, we asked judges to arrive about 7:30. 7:40, our judge advisor is going to have a judges meeting and start talking you through the process for the day, and we'll work on exactly what's going to happen and where things are in that. 8 o'clock, judging begins. So at 8 o'clock, you are seeing a team who's giving their presentation. And yeah, if you think that's early, just think how early it is for teenagers. So it's also when robot inspections begin. From 8 to 10, we have judging, team judging. So this will be a panel of 2 or 3 judges sitting in and listening to a team give a presentation and then asking them questions. And out of that time, you will be responsible for kind of deciding what awards this team might be eligible for. Referees arrive a little bit later, 9:30, they have a referees meeting. Then at 10:30, the judging and inspection should be done and matches will start. That starts with a driver's meeting where the head referees talk to the teams, tell them how things are going to run, give them some updates on rules if there are. Then we have opening ceremonies. It's about 11, and then qualification matches start. FTC has this amazing thing. It's called the lunch break from basically 12 to 1, where all the teams, all the volunteers, everybody takes a break. There's nothing going on. There's no kind of shifting of referees eat at this time and judges eat at this time and other people. Everybody gets the 12 to 1 o'clock break. So you come back together and can then relax or fill out forms. But hopefully relax a little bit in the officials room, talk to some of the referees, meet new people, meet old people, see people in person, all that good stuff. And then 1 o'clock, the qualification matches begin, and that's when pit judging, as it's called, which is really finalist judging, will begin. We'll redivide judges up so that we have 2 or 3 judges who are judging the design and the innovation award. And then 2 or 3 judges that are maybe doing the control award and the Stratasys award. And they will go down and interview in the pits all the teams who the morning judges determined were finalists for this. So this could be, anywhere from 6 or 8 to maybe 12 teams in a judging category that are considered finalists. And you go down and interview the teams, ask them questions about that award specifically, and then come back with your rank ordering. About 3 o'clock, the alliance selection occurs. That's out on the field. And that's pretty much when you come back and we will start to do deliberations. And this is where the judge advisor gets heavily involved. And he'll talk a little bit more about that. But this is where you then kind of work through what awards there are, what teams are eligible for what awards, and we'll talk through that whole process. So that's your day. You're kind of done when those deliberations are completed and we have all the awards decided for the teams and the award script has been written. We are going to pass on the high five line, the germ line as it's called. Even before last year, it was been called that. This year, for obvious reasons, I don't think we're going to have the teams come down at all. We'll have them stand where they are to be recognized rather than coming down and being announced. And you're welcome, obviously, to stay for this award ceremony and even present the awards for the categories you judged if you like. If you need to skip out, you can, but we'd like everybody kind of hang out and see it if you can. Referees will be there too. They'll have, and then we'll have the closing ceremonies, which is when the awards are given. Okay, so that is pretty much the same as how things were run 2 years ago and prior to that. The day runs pretty much the same as that. We have a few improvements from last year that we're going to carry over. Tournaments, the teams will submit all their information ahead of time. Now, the Compass and Promote Awards are 2 video awards that teams can do. They're optional, that have always been submitted ahead of time, and you guys don't judge that. We have others that do that judging. It's kind of a separate process. But like last year, teams are going to submit their engineering portfolio, and people who didn't do it last year won't know what that is, and I'll explain it. They will also submit their control award form if they're applying for that award, and they will submit a link to their engineering notebook. Judges, I will give you access to this Google Drive for the teams at the tournament prior to the tournament. So that will be part of that email on like Wednesday or Thursday. Teams need to submit this stuff by Thursday night. So Friday morning, for sure, the materials will be there. You can actually look at the team materials ahead of time. You can go through their portfolio, see what they're talking about. And this is totally up to you as judges. If you want to look through all these things and formulate questions and you know, pre-plan things, that's great. If you want to just look through these and get a feel for the teams you're looking at, that's fine too. It's really up to you, but it gives you the opportunity to not have to quickly look through things when you show up Saturday morning or when a team's coming in 5 minutes. Gives you a little head start on stuff. It worked out last year for the remote tournaments, and the judges really liked it, obviously, from seeing the stuff ahead of time, but the teams actually liked it too, because, you know, they're teams, they're teenagers. They're going to do this stuff a half hour before it's due. Now it's due Thursday night, so they're going to finish up their notebook and portfolio and everything on Thursday. Friday and Saturday, they're just going to sit back and relax, and, well, no, they're just going to work on their robot, but they don't have the stress of also updating their notebook and printing 700 pages at 2 a.m. before Saturday morning, and the printer jams or runs out of ink and all that stuff. So from what we heard from coaches, they actually like the earlier deadline for these documents as well. What else? Okay. Portfolio. The portfolio is something that was introduced last year, not as a part of the COVID and remoteness training, but as a general improvement for FTC. And I think it's a great idea. In the past, teams had their engineering notebook, and the maximum engineering notebook could be 2 3-inch binders. So you could have 6 inches of material, which is, you know, 600 pages worth of stuff that you as a judge could potentially look through to determine what they've done, what awards they might be eligible for. Generally, it was just a big pile that you weren't able to look through. You know, they had a summary sheet that kind of helped you through that. Now, the emphasis is that the engineering notebook is more a record that they should keep during the year of everything that goes on. So the real sense of an engineering notebook, but not in some perfect format to submit to judges. It doesn't have to have pictures and captions and exact titles and pages perfect and everything like that. It really is your engineering notebook, what you're doing as a team. The portfolio is a 15-page summary of that. So teams have to create a portfolio as a summary of their notebook. And for teams, when we do team training, we tell them this is difficult. You know, how do you reduce 600 pages to 15? But what you really want to do, what teams really want to do, and what they had done last year, is really look for what's important and put that in there. And so you as a judge will get a 15-page summary of everything the team did, what the team thinks is important. And so it is now the required thing if you're going to be any judged awards. It really is your primary reference for doing that. If all the necessary information is found in the portfolio, everything you need to determine they're a finalist or determine their award winner, great. You don't even have to look at the notebook. Notebook, as a matter of fact, is now optional. But there's some words in the notebook or in the game manual, something to the effect that the notebook is optional, but should be the primary source for information for the portfolio. And if you look at the awards thing, all of them say, you know, there should be information that's referenced that is in the notebook. So it's optional, but I think they're still hoping and expecting teams to do it. And I will tell you, when we talked with judge advisors last year about this, and as we went through the process last year, if you've got two portfolios that are close, judges are going to look at the engineering notebook. And obviously for Inspire and Think Award, those two are important factors as well, and will be looked at by the judges for that. The other little change was that the control award submission form is now limited to 2 pages, as it should be. You know, there's not that information. So that helps out also. They'll be submitting that early, but it's really just 2 pages. Teams are starting to kind of expand on that and make it 5 or 10 pages worth of description and everything like that. So now it's just going to be 2 pages. Here are some quotes about the notebook that are from the game manual. So the engineering notebook is an optional item, but it is a fundamental source of information. Judges may ask the team to provide specific information from their engineering notebook to better understand the stuff that was in their portfolio. And really, the engineering notebook, as I said, is the repository of the team's efforts, plans, design, all that stuff. But it doesn't have to be in such a final publishing form anymore. So I mean, although it's optional, as all these things specify, it's still kind of important for the team to do, and we try and stress that. Okay, what else? We are verifying that we can have internet access at the tournament sites, so the judging materials will be viewed online. We will not have the team bringing a paper copy of their portfolio. Necessarily, they won't necessarily be bringing a paper copy of their notebooks, anything like that. It's all submitted ahead of time, and like judges who did it last year, you can look at it online ahead of time and during the tournament itself. That means the judges will need to bring their own devices. Yep, this is a change, and we're hoping that everybody is able to do that. It worked last year. Obviously, you were at your homes and that, but we hope you can bring your own devices to this and work on it. That feedback forms will also be completed online. So it'll be a Google form just like it was last year, and various judges can add pieces to it at different times, and it will all be done. We will then print off a PDF of it and send that PDF to the team after the tournament is over. We're planning on putting the initial team nominations into the deliberation spreadsheet. So we're going to work on that in the same way that we used deliberation spreadsheet last year. Pit judging groups will rank their finalists also in the deliberation spreadsheet. We've done this for state for a number of years, where we've kind of put it on the overhead projector and had a spreadsheet and manipulated things. Now the judges, will actually have access to that, and you can put your own team names in there for what you believe, what teams are advancing to finalists out of your groups. And we'll all just edit that sheet and look at it then as we go through things. Deliberations will obviously be conducted again using that spreadsheet. We'll all be together, so we'll be talking all together, and it will be very much different, but you'll have access to the information and that. So we're really trying to use those improvements we saw last year, improvements we had last year, and work it into this way. There's still some questions about some of the forms that were used that we printed in paper before that we will probably still print again and see how they're used. But I'm talking with judge advisors and a couple other people about that now to see what they think. Inspectors and referees are all using tablets and the FTC scoring software, so there really isn't any paper down in the field area also. I mean, we have to print out the match schedule because that will come out mid-tournament. But other than that, we're trying to eliminate as much paper as possible. Okay, so that's kind of the changes to tournaments or things that'll be different if you were last year or this year or neither years. At tournaments, High Tech Kids has a mask requirement. Everyone, participants, coaches, mentors, spectators, volunteers, and all staff will be wearing masks at all the times at the tournaments. This is required. Teams have to certify that they will do this before they were allowed to register for a tournament. As part of your consent and release, which we will require you to do the Minnesota consent and release, is also stating that you will do this. It's just what we're doing. It also is required of a lot of sites that we're at. So it's not just High Tech Kids, but also a lot of the schools require this as their policy for anyone using the facility. Along with that, some of our facilities may have even stricter guidelines. We found out just last week that St. Paul Public Schools will require the following: either proof of vaccination or proof of negative COVID test within a week. And that is, from our current reading of this, that is for our volunteers and our employees. So our employees and people that we contract with or work with at the site. Right now, we don't believe this is teams, participants, and spectators, but it is definitely High Tech Kids employees and the volunteers that we're bringing in. So the only FTC tournament that's at a public school is the state tournament. So a state tournament, we will be asking that you certify that you're vaccinated. And again, the reading is that you have to tell us you're vaccinated. We don't have to see or do anything with your vaccination card because that's a medical record, and there's questions about the validity or the ability of us to see that record. But we do have to get your certification, you saying that you are vaccinated, or we do need proof of a negative COVID test. So that is an email or something like that, whatever you received from a COVID test within a week of the tournament. And right now, St. Paul Public Schools is the only school system we know where this has happened. And of course, that's in February. Who knows what's going to change between now and then? But that's where we're sitting right now, just to let people know. Okay. At the training I did last week, where we had both referees, other field personnel, and judges, I went through a little intro to things just so people know. I'm going to do that also here for new people who might be interested in hearing what the referees and inspectors and field personnel do. And so it's just a couple of slides of kind of what their job is. So referees obviously referee the matches. Inspectors inspect the robots ahead of time. And that's not to find wrong things, but to make sure the robots are safe and will run reliably. A lot of the inspection is looking for things that could break and helping the team solve those problems before they get out on the field. So inspections are in the morning, robot matches in the afternoon. A lot of volunteers are both inspectors and referees. Makes it easier for me, find one person, get two jobs done. FTAs are the field technical assistants. They help teams that are having issues, either issues connecting or something wrong with their robot. Former coaches and that are really good FTAs if they kind of understand the hardware and software and the way robots are working in that, and they can help with that. Field manager is a person who kind of just keeps on schedule, makes sure that the head referee and the scorekeeper are in touch and things are coordinated as we go through the day. But it's really that teams understand, follow the rules of play. It's done in a safe and orderly fashion. Obviously, the referees manage the competition matches. They do the starts, they issue penalties, they do the scoring and everything like that, and really help teams and spectators enjoy the tournament. The robot competition is the only thing that spectators will be seeing this year. They're not going to be allowed in the judging rooms, and we're not going to allow spectators in the pits. Pits will be limited to the teams, coaches, and you volunteers, and that's it. And this is just, again, to kind of limit the number of people that are all contacting each other. So there'll be a spectator area around the gym and cafeteria, and then The pits and the performance floor and the judging rooms will be limited to the volunteers and teams. Just so you know what referees have to do, the game manuals part 1 and 2, oh, not remote game manuals, traditional game manuals, oops, didn't change that, and all the rules in those game manuals. If you look to them, game manual 1 has a lot of general rules. Game manual 2 has all the rules specific to this year's matches, this year's competition, what things run points, what things can be done when during the thing. If you're interested, of course, you can look on YouTube. There's, I'm sure, videos of actual games and robots, and even probably many of robots doing missions from this year already. There's also a resource library for game and season information. That really has the game manuals and stuff going on in there. There's another resource library for volunteer information, which if you go to our website, you can click on that link and it'll get you to the FIRSTSign resource library for that. In FTC, there's also a questions and answer forum. And this in FTC is very important because coaches and referees can ask questions, and formal people within FIRST answer those questions, and those answers become part of the rules, but they're not updated in the rules. It's in the Q&A, in this Q&A forum. So the referees need to be aware not only of the rules, but all the Q&A stuff that has been determined up till this tournament. And this is continually going on. Things are updated, minor tweaks are made, clarifications are done. So referees has to be kind of keep on top of that. It's the head referee that really answers the last questions and resolve conflicts and that. So I tell the referees, you know, especially if you're new, relax a little bit. It's not all on you. You've got other people there to help you. But it's just kind of an exciting time. Okay, so now we're going to move on to judges.